headed to Tulsa today. So I was about to back out and my team came in and said, you need to make a video about the shadow, because we're getting all these questions of what exactly is shadow. And I realized I've been talking about shadow for several months and I haven't really described what it is. Thank you. So the shadow is the phrase coined by Carl Jung that refers to all these parts of ourselves that are wounded and in pain and largely unconscious, because a lot of them formed either in the ancestral line that we just, our soul incarnated right into and took on all of that via epigenetics and what we know about how trauma comes down, and other experiences of soul that you weren't able to integrate that you really wanted to face this time, so you would have selected an embodiment, again an ancestral line that would have fit that scenario of what you wanted to face, maybe a fear you didn't integrate, an opportunity to use power differently, an opportunity to come out of hiding, an opportunity to conquer, if you will, victim, getting stuck in a victim story and victim mindset. And so it really has to do with do you see, like, the theme is like what the soul is working on. We can take everything so literally here, like, oh, this is my family and this is my, maybe my health or my body, and yet it's a giant setup, people. By our own soul. What? So when you really grasp that, it's both like, it's simultaneously like, oh shit, like, you mean I really have to take responsibility for all this? Yes. And it's also extremely liberating, because wow, that means I can actually do something about it, right? Or, and no judgment, you can stay in the literal experience, because that's very valid. So they are showing me that now, but again, if you're here on this channel, you're like, how do I get out of this mud pit, this tar pit, right? It's important to start with that why. Like, start with, why do we even care about the shadow? Why are we even doing this? Because admittedly, it takes a lot of courage to do shadow work, and it can be very painful at times. It can be shameful. Well, definitely, you're going to experience shame. Let me just tell you right now. And then learn how to clear shame and not be in shame. And it can just be very humbling. It can be shocking. I can't believe that's how I've been acting out unconsciously, right? But it goes a rooster across the road. Yep. And then he just flew over the fence. See? Use your wings and fly right over. We're doing the whole, like, what are the signs today? So you all might see things behind me. Somebody spotted that Jesus is the answer, something like that. I'm like, yeah, go Sananda, right? Like, the beings that have come here and been like, people, there's a different way, right? But ultimately now it's up to us. So yeah, tell me if you see other signs, because obviously I have to drive safely. So in order to go through all of those humbling, somewhat painful, mirroring reflection experiences that shadow work involves, it's important to have your eye on the prize, so to speak, which is soul growth. And fortunately, we're all in it together now, because we're in a time, because of evolution, ascension, and metaphysics, that are the multidimensional physics that are changing and accelerating. Our behaviors and what we put out are coming back to us faster than ever. People are reporting to me, and I'm even seeing it within minutes, if not hours. Whew. Maybe days or weeks. Versus lifetimes or years. Woo! Give it up for law of cause and effect accelerated, right? Like, yes, okay, not just want to get off, this merry-go-round of the same pattern. Like, that's what our soul's really interested in. So keep that big why in mind as we talk about shadow, and as you're engaging with it yourself. And frankly, you're gonna have to engage with it, whether you like it or not. And it might just kick your ass so hard that you have no other choice but to surrender. And then when you get to that place, you're like, okay, I'm available. What the hell do you want to show me? I'm so ready, because, it's that game, that paddle game with the little ball attached to it that and like, the harder you hit it, the faster faster it comes back. Let's get into some really specific examples of shadow. If you feel like I have, that the metaphysics and the multidimensional everything are really far out there for the human collective and people can't handle it and all that. And there is some truth to that for sure, right? But that's not what we're talking about here. We're not out there in 3D projecting and talking about things objectively. No. This is subjective relative experience based in the distortion of the shadow complex. And I call it the complex because it's not just like, oh, my shadow. It's just, I dealt with my shadow. It's one little thing. As if, oh, don't we all wish? It's a huge complex. Okay? Now, the good news is that we totally got this and we can do this work. But in order to do it, you have to have the right mindset, which is A, you're in this for the rest of your life. It's a lifestyle, long haul, like a marathon. It's not a sprint. And B, there are many different components to it and many different levels to it. So I've been working guided in all my client sessions to go 3 levels back with everyone because it's very sneaky. Like the shadow on the front, you think, wow, I got it. I know what that is. Da-da-da-da, and then you go on your way. And meanwhile, behind the scenes, several curtains back, the real shadow's going like, I can still stay here, right? And I'm telling you, that level of shadow is so slippery. It's like a slippery eel. Like I almost have to grab it by the tail or like step on it on the floor, like hold it there until, it can be presenced. Because what happens is both myself and the other person, we can't even remember what it was. That's how sneaky it is. It slips away. So again, more mindset before we get into examples of how you have to approach this work, okay? Okay, now I promise we're gonna get into examples. Right here as we get on the main road, of course. Yeah, stopping. We have to stop. So shadow work is best done when you have to stop, take a breath. Like, what do you do in fire? Stop, drop, and roll. Shadow is very similar. You're gonna have a triggered moment of getting really irritated or agitated or wanting to defend yourself or justify your behavior or deflect or project. And you gotta go, stop. What the hell just happened? And you gotta backtrack into, you're already feeling everything, but what was the thought? Okay, so coming back to my own example, I catch myself doing this more than I'd like still. And I found out just this week why this really is. Even though I've kind of known this for years, but not like viscerally like I did this week. People won't accept my fully uncensored talks. I know some of you are laughing because you know what I used to talk about on my channel. And you're like, what are you talking about? Well, life throws you some curveballs and you're still trying to function in where the collective is currently at. So yada, yada, yada. But I find that thought comes up a lot, right? Oh, yes, I've been persecuted, past lives, burned at the stake. Oh, of course. It's got to stay hidden. Yada, yada, yada. That's level 1. Let's go to level 3. I internalized the out of balance masculine, skeptic, intellectual, objective in order to stay safe. And so I rejected myself. I rejected metaphysics, and there's a piece of me, a part of me that still rejects it. Well, that would explain a lot. It's like, let's talk about this, but from within, not from without. That's the trick there. The whole collective is like, yes, everyone listen to this part. We all think. And they're like, you think that it's coming from outside of you? It's not. It's inside. I know many people are onto this work because there's so many different modalities coming out, from parts work to Katie Bryant's The Work, and on and on and on, right? We're all on this. Full court press, people. We're all working on the project, right? But ultimately, we each have to do this ourselves and be willing to, not just be in the love and light, but we got to go down into the swamp and the mud. What's in there? Because that's where the gold is buried. And I've seen it over and over and over again with myself and other people. like, wow. When we present something like I just shared with you, you know, you kind of sit back and go, oh, well, that sure explains a lot. And now how do we go about addressing that? I'm not even going to wait to talk about that because it's so important. First of all, they're showing me, and I've experienced this myself, Dr. Brian Weiss, Many Lives, Many Masters, in his work, he's seen this as well. Many people who've done past life regression work have seen this. Just presencing it, just talking about it, tends to, if not resolve it completely, tends to dramatically lessen its hidden influence and impact. Number 2, Psyche. Subconscious reprogramming. Dr. Bruce Lipton gave a talk in a video. I remember I was driving on the Blue Ridge Parkway. I'll never forget where I was. It's that beautiful part in just outside of Blowing Rock where it was like the last part that they completed because it was so technically difficult. I see the symbolism. And so your views are amazing up the mountain. Grandfather Mountain is there, and, you know, out across, just down below in the valley. And he mentioned it, and like, it was like this huge light went off, and I just knew, ding, 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 you have to go find a Psyche practitioner. I have one. Her name's Jennifer. She's amazing. Her link is below. I don't get any kickback. I just want you all free. Okay, let's get free. 2024. Let's make this the year of personal freedom. But like, we got to break out of the jail ourselves, right? So the modality beyond Psyche, I'm sure there are. If you know of more modalities, please share them in the comments with everyone. Interesting, I'm in the roundabout. So we're going to get ourselves off this merry-go-round, right? We're going to get out of like going around and around what would be like National Lampoon's European Vacation. Or were they around the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, probably? There, doesn't that feel good? And we're on our way, right? Spinning ourselves out of the spin cycle, you know, pulling ourselves out of the spin cycle and on our way. But let's get back to more examples. Okay, the example that's coming in is a universal example for many people here in service soul contracts, such as yourselves. And it is, the 3 levels back is going to be interesting, okay? So this is the one where you're lone wolfing it, martyring it, self-sacrificing for others, rescuing. There's another one. See how slippery it is? And wanting acknowledgement and validation. All of those parts of the shadow complex go back 3 levels down to the mother wound that's endemic to the entire system. Big, big part of living creation that we're in, because the mother aspect of God wasn't so much rejected as years ago. I had a group and she showed me, I took a step back. I willingly did that to allow this experience to unfold, because every experience is valid in the all that is, but now we're coming back into balance, so I'm stepping forward again. So many of us in these contracts have mother wounds. We didn't get the love, support, validation, acknowledgement, intentionally designed and set up by our souls that way. In order to be able to collect the data file and the dissension point and the distortional point of the mother wound, meaning didn't get the support, didn't get our needs met by the mother in our lives. Critical piece of experience to do the work we came to do, to understand the distortion in the system, and then in divine right timing, which is like now and yesterday, alchemize, heal, and transform, and then offer the world, here's the big why, a different template. So you're disrupting the family line. If we have children, not passing it down, shifting that. And it's also available in the unified field. So give yourself a little pat on the back for having the courage, the chutzpah, to come 333, to come into this realm, in this density, in this all this distortion, take it on, live it, be kind of trapped in it, acting it out, living out, getting wounded, living out the wounds, and then alchemizing it. Go you. Go us. I'm being told to go back to the 4 examples martyr over self-sacrificing. They want to start there. When you don't get the love and appreciation acknowledgement that you need from your mother or a major parental unit, you will do all sorts of different things in order to get that love for the rest of your life, until you have a moment of realizing, like, why am I doing this? Overachiever is, they're putting that in with martyr. So this would be like, I never do anything for myself. I'm always working for others. I'm always serving. I'm always serving. I'm always serving. Giving. But it's to give is better than to receive. Bullshit. That's totally out of balance. Academically, maybe, like me, were you an overachiever? You know, it's taken me decades to understand and unwind. Why the hell was I doing that? Double major, school, master's degree. Now, some of it's lined up with other things, but in general, you get the gist. Lone wolf, another trauma response, mother wound. I can't get what I need here, so I'll do it myself. Well, that's not balanced either, is it? And that brings us to rescuer. These are my top 4, I'm realizing. Awesome. Rescuer is really sneaky, because on the surface it's like, I'm helping you. Underneath, it's very self-serving, and it's basically telling another person, you can't do it yourself. Let me rescue you, and I'll do it for you, because I need to feel valuable, worthy, and loved, and all of that comes through my acts, instead of just, I'm a divine being, I'm a child of God, I am love. Okay, now we're going to switch. That's kind of on like the out of balance service to others polarity of shadow. Now we want to switch over to overly service to self. Okay, so this is lack of trusting. Nobody has my best interest at heart. They're going to take from me, so I got to take from them. I'm going to get taken advantage of. The world is kind of out to get you. You have to look out for number 1. This one is interesting. It's like, don't get your hopes up, because you'll just get disappointed. Be a realist. So that's what dampens the emotional set point and keeps so many people like whoosh down here, right? I'm going to use the personal power I have to manipulate other people to get what I want, instead of just authentically and honestly and vulnerably presencing what my needs are. Understand there's no judgment here, but Spirit wants to call this out now. If we don't get specific, we're going to hang out and bypass a lot longer than we want to, right? And I don't know about you, but I do not enjoy having my own ass kicked by my shadow complex. Like, I'm looking for the exit, the through point, and then the work to do, like the awareness, the self-awareness work to get there. So interestingly, now I'm being guided to reduce everything down to energetics. So if everything has an energy, how are we moving out in the world? How are we thinking, feeling, and acting in relationship to the world around us, to those around us? And if you can reduce it down to the energetics, you're going to get a really good sense of where you're hanging out. And you won't be justifying like, yeah, but that politician, blah, 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 right? Who cares? Who cares about all that out there? More like, uh-oh, what just happened? I'm like, I just went total victim. Oh, crap. Is that going to create anything great? No, absolutely not. And if shame is your game, projected shame on others, maybe because they didn't listen to you, uh-oh. Shame is about as low as you can go. As low as you can go. How do we come up and out of that? Well, we recognize, why did I go to that? Why did I want to shame that person? Why did I want to put them down? What happened? Oh, they weren't listening to me. I didn't feel heard. Oh my gosh, there's my shadow complex of all my wounding. What would it be like to be so much more neutral in the world? Even with our own triggers. we're getting to another modality to start to diffuse, is loving ourselves, giving ourselves hugs and kisses. These are some of the best tricks I've been given. So thank you for the gifts to diffuse the shadow complex and the triggers. Skipping around, dancing. I danced this morning because I felt like I was in so much stagnant energy. I was like, whoa, gotta move this. You know, little Billy Idol comes on, like, let's go. Right? Relax the jaw, open everything up, clear things out, do your psychic hygiene, clear off the top layer. But this is not the top layer. This is like, again, it's like an archaeological dig, 3 layers down. What can you find there? What's been hidden from you, maybe your entire life until now? So I'm being told that just by having this conversation, if you're still here, some of you took off because it's like, not necessarily ready for that yet. Just don't really want to deal with that yet. And you know what? There's no judgment. It's okay. For those of you still here, congratulations, because we're going to start bringing through, there we go. Yeah, we're clearing, we're going to go ahead and clear all sorts of top layer stuff. Yeah. We're clearing top level anger, which lends itself to like feeling entitled and indignant to your shadow complex. Clear all that. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. And now you're going to be able to do this work. Yep, it's all clearing from the root. I can feel that. Ooh, might feel a little lightheaded. That's okay. My odometer says 2020. I love it. So let's keep going. Yeah, saw a sign for roundup, right? We're going to round up the shadow. Okay, and then there's shifting in the heart center now. Opening that, yeah, there we go. We tend to wall up and armor up so we don't have to feel. Not being able to feel makes this work much more difficult. Okay, we're gonna keep doing this. So just keep going. There we go. Throat's on next. Clearing, clearing. Yep, it's opening up all the centers. Okay. So we've covered a lot of different things. I'm being told to say watch this video 3 times. You won't have heard half of it the first time, let alone integrated and begun to apply. So I hope this helped you understand what we're talking about when we talk about shadow, have the bigger picture of the why in mind, and then I hope you feel inspired to actually do the work, because tremendous freedom does lie on the other side of this. And if we want a new earth, this is how we're going to do it, okay? All right, report to me in the comments. Please tell me how it goes. Tell me what you experienced in the video, but also, you know, come back a week later and say, wow, so here are my field notes. Send in your field notes, people. All right, I love you all. Have a magical, multi-dimensional day. Mwah.